Hey, welcome everybody to Pro Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Craig Domann. I've got Molly Shaw as a guest today, and Molly is a gold medalist. She is a national team volleyball player. She's a professional beach volleyball girl by way of Chicago, Naperville, went to Grand Valley State. Molly, welcome to Pro Mindset today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so my understanding is that you've been on a whirlwind tour the last month and in multiple continents.
Yeah.
Share with everybody what you just been up to, what you just got off the heels of.
Yeah, I just got back on Monday from the Philippines, and then before that was India, and then before that was China, back to back to back. So we were playing on the international tour for Team USA for 3 weeks straight and did not come home. So we were just going from country to country and playing beach volleyball.
How do you adapt to the travel? Jet lag, time change, different food?
Yeah, I mean, that was the hardest part of this whole trip. Preparing is the biggest thing. Before we went, we studied and kind of researched like what the countries had to offer in terms of food and like if we could drink the water. So before the trip even began, we were getting camping meals. We were packing like half of my checked bag was snacks and meals because it was like, you never know what you're going to get in China, India, like the Philippines. So I like pack an electric kettle. I pack like oatmeal, like everything you could think of just in case. And so that helped us prepare a lot. And then, adjusting to jet lag, I don't know if I have like the perfect recipe yet, but this past time, I, for some reason, did it perfectly. Like I did not experience that awful of jet lag, but it's just like sleeping on the plane, trying to time your sleep. So when you get there, you either are able to sleep through the night or you try and stay awake and get on the time zone, which is very difficult, but I guess it's just kind of adrenaline the first few days.
Absolutely. What is your connection to volleyball? What's the passion? Where did it come from? How far back can you remember that you fell in love with the sport?
Yeah, I grew up playing because my older sister was the starter on her indoor team and I wanted to be just like her. And I got cut from the high school team when I was a sophomore. I rode the bench when I was a freshman, and when I was a sophomore, they cut me. And I was actually going to quit the sport, but someone introduced me to a beach volleyball club in Chicago. And, I was like, oh, I don't really want to do this. But my mom was like, just try it for 3 days. And if you hate it, I'll let you go. Like, you can do whatever you want, but just try it. And ever since then, I started loving it. I hated it at first, but I loved it after. My whole story, to like kind of make it smaller right now, is that I've always been told no. It's like the route I take is always the hardest for some reason. Every time I always come back, and it's just like, I think trying to stand up for like the person that I was when I first was told no, when I first was cut, because that girl like had this like burning passion to be the best. And I still feel that. So I always look back at that where I'm like, what is my why? And I'm like, that person that was told no the first time and was so hurt. I'm like, I always look back at her and I'm like, I'm doing it for that girl mostly.
Okay, let's dive into that just for a second. Most human beings, when they're told no, do something else. What was your thinking all the way back then? When you were like 14 years old, that you decided that you weren't going to take no for an answer, and then that's number one. And then number two is, how has it benefited you your whole career?
So the first one, I feel like my parents raised me to put my foot down and stand up for myself and have a voice. And I'm really thankful for that, because I feel like because of that, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't take no for an answer. I always say I have to be dramatic for a few days. Like I have the biggest pity party for like 1 to 3 days and maybe shorter, but I am in the deep depths of my emotions for a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's just like someone has a flame and they just light it. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to work 3 times as hard now. And it works like clockwork. It always happens that way. And so I don't know. I think that it's just been like integrated in me, maybe because of my parents. They kind of are always like, get up, keep trying ever since I was younger, and kind of like rub some dirt in it mindset a little bit, which can have its pros and cons. But I think that's why I've been I've been coming back every time. And I don't know, I really appreciate that about myself. I look at it and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I can do that. But so yeah. And sorry, do you mind repeating the second question for me?
The second question is, you've got this rejection response that's not common.
Yeah.
Okay. So your rejection response is one of like doubling down or being more dedicated, more committed, having a bigger why. And it's a motivator and a driver. So how has that, most people don't have that, and you know that. How does that show up and serve you now?
Now I've seen it show up a lot in games and in tournaments, like the last tournament we were in. I mean, the whole entire 3-week trip we had was really mentally tough. Like, you're not eating the right food. You're not feeling that great. You're exhausted. You're tired. It's hot outside, like what have you. And I noticed myself kind of just like ignoring that to an extent and just like pushing forward. And I see that, on the court. I see that when I'm in the gym. And I also see that just in my personal life too. And it really translates pretty much everywhere. And I'm so thankful. Again, I do have my pity parties, but yeah, I see it quite often translating in like everyday life and, every tournament I'm in, which is like really, really cool.
Okay, let's jump into the pity party. A couple nights ago, I had a pity party and it lasted probably about 10 minutes. And I just flushed it through my mind and then I was able to move on. What do you accomplish during a pity party? What is the transformation and the process that your mind goes through?
Yeah.
About whatever the issue is that allows you to have freedom and peace and motivation on the other side?
Yeah. Well, the story I tell myself ever since I started playing volleyball when I got cut is that I'm not good enough. Like, that's just, it's at the deep depths in the core of me. And it's not something I'm proud of, but it's something that motivates me. My favorite quote is beware the underdog. Like, I always consider myself an underdog. And I think that, if it would be really hard to like be where I'm at, I think, if I didn't have that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like unable to like continue with this because, yeah, I don't know. I'm like stuck.
Let me ask you in a different way.
Yeah.
You have turned rejection into fuel in all areas of your life, but especially in your sport. Where has that motivator, the story you tell yourself that you're not good enough, hurt you? And where does that show up?
Yeah. I mean, it has been something that has like held me back a few times, like back to like the pity party for like that time period. It feels really good to be able to like look at that and be like, yeah, that little story I'm telling myself is correct. It feels good in a really toxic way. But then once I like let myself experience that and let myself kind of feel the feelings that I think had when I first was cut the first time, and then the second time and the third time and whatever, it's like satisfying this like negative connotation that I have to myself. And then when I finally am like, okay, tears are out. I'm a very emotional person, by the way. So when the tears are out and when I'm like kind of done having my little temper tantrum, I'm like, okay, like it's time to work. Like I'm putting that beside me. And I think that I have to feel that. And if I don't, it like bubbles up and it could become something so much worse. So I know that I need to like, again, I hate calling it a temper tantrum, but I kind of have to have that for me to feel empowered, because I need to kind of go to the, dark depths to experience like rock bottom, to be like, okay, it's only up now because I have just felt the worst about myself. So that's kind of how.
What I heard you describe, Molly, is a mental reset. When you have a temper tantrum, after you go through that, you reset. And it's almost like erasing the board and starting over.
Right. Yeah.
And it gives you freedom and peace and confidence, and whatever happened that pissed you off or disappointed you, or the defeat or whatever it was, bad call, unfair call, unfair comment by your partner, by your coach, whatever it is. It allows you to restart, reset with a clean slate. So if you can be intentional about those temper tantrums, as long as they don't make you look like a fool, you're not throwing things into the crowd or crazy. It's just you and you, right? Right. It's just you and you. You give yourself an opportunity to reset.
Mhm.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a real good thing. Okay. What are some of the other stories that you tell yourself? Because what happens is I can just picture, I'm not a volleyball dude. You know, I'm not 6'8" like your honey. I don't look like those guys look either, by the way. So I think I'd look out of place. But it's like I can picture myself in that situation, and you're not really having a lot of conversation with people. You just connect with your partner between points.
Right.
And then between sets, you probably talk to your coach, and that's it. So it's really you and you the whole match. So is there another story you tell yourself? Because we all have this pocket voice or this inner coach, inner critic, call it what you want, that talks to us while we're in the middle of the competition.
Yeah. I will say, like, the trip that I was just on was kind of one of the first times that I've experienced like calmness and confidence during a lot of, like, I would say like 90% of the games I played, it's new for me. I'm not usually like that. I'm very, I want to win. I want to crush the other team and then I will be satisfied. So like these matches that it's like 19-19 and you're like, oh my God, one mistake, like that raises my anxiety. I mean, it would anyone, but this last tournament, I went into it thinking I'm going to win this tournament, or I'm going to medal in this tournament. And all I have to do is just the work. So I just need to get there. I know it's going to happen. I just need to get there. And that was like a really weird mind shift for me, because prior to that, the voice in my head during games would be like telling myself I'm dumb. Like, why would you do that? Like, and then it would kind of like fester in my head a little bit and maybe carry on to the next point. When we're in timeout, I'm like, oh my, this feels impossible. How are we supposed to win the next set if we lost the first? And, there's always that voice of like, you're not good enough. Again, it's impossible to do this right now. Like, no one like you has ever done this before. And I'm not like the ideal body type, height wise, for the sport. I'm a little undersized. And so that comes out in games sometimes. And like the little voice is like, you're not kind of supposed to be here. And that's what I used to hear so much. And it was kind of normal. So it was like almost, playing to win and then also playing to shut that voice up, which is really, really hard. So,
okay, let me challenge you. Let's rewrite your story. Let's give your inner voice a new thing to say. What would that be? That before you show up, when you're practicing, when you're in the heat of the game, when you're in that match point, the most important point of the game, which you may have multiple times and multiple sets, what is the recording that you want to hear? What is the conversation you want to have with you?
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up, because so I go to therapy and my therapist and I have been like working on that a lot of like, what should you tell yourself instead? Like, how do you get the voice to like shut up and then have your own voice? And something that I am trying to incorporate, or like what I want to hear instead, is like, I can trust myself. I am balanced, I am steady. And then it's hard to say this because I'm a very like rub some dirt on it kind of person, but saying like my best is enough really calms me, because it's okay to lose. And sometimes it like really affects me, and being okay and telling myself that I'm going to love myself even if I lose, like my best is enough, that just like calms me down completely. So
Awesome.
those are the four things that I want to say, and more.
Well, I'm not a therapist, but one thing that I would encourage you to do is go back and identify the times in your career where you failed miserably, you were rejected, you weren't enough. And that's when you adopted that belief. And it was definitely in high school.
Yeah.
When you got cut by your high school team, but there were probably other instances during your career, maybe not getting the scholarship to, Nebraska or Wisconsin or whoever it might have been at the time coming out of high school, that you might have had that thought that I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then what I want you to do is identify the emotion that you had then: angry, embarrassed, disappointed, humiliated. What was it? Might have been a combination of those. You had to come home and tell your mom, who's a volleyball person. You had to tell your sister, who's a volleyball person. You probably put some time into that tryout in preparation. And now you got to tell yourself you didn't do enough. But if you can identify that emotion and have a temper tantrum with that emotion, and now look at that same situation in 2024, 2025 that happened maybe when in 2010. What's the emotion now?
Towards it, or as if it
Yes.
were to happen now?
No, towards then.
I mean, there's so many emotions that go towards it because I'm like very grateful that it happened, or I know I wouldn't be here. So that's like the first emotion, but I mean, maybe that's like the biggest emotion. It's hard to say like there's negativity towards it because it has shaped me to be who I am. I feel like anytime someone said no, I'm like, oh, this is helping me in the long run, I guess.
Okay. So I'm just doing this live here with this conversation. You're already ahead of me. So if you look at gratefulness and thankfulness and appreciation that happened because of the lesson you learned, because of the motivation that you gained, because of the purpose and the connection to the sport that you got, that you wouldn't have gotten but for that disappointment, and the impact it's made and the change in trajectory that it's made in your career, that's put you in a position where you're living in California, you're married to a professional beach volleyball dude, and you are making a living traveling the world with somebody else paying you for a lot of it, and you're getting paid. Now that's a whole different story that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You are good enough. And my gut is, your sister, unless she's a pro volleyball player, she probably quit 8 or 10 years ago. And you're still playing.
Yeah.
And she might have a husband and 4 kids for all I know and doing a real job. And you're still, trotting around the country and around the world playing volleyball, a sport. So that's how you rewrite your story, is take what impacts you. And that's what you should tell yourself. And then it triggers in your mind that, hey, you used to think you weren't good enough, but you're thankful that you thought that because it gave you the motivation that you have today to be who you are today.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I love that.
And the second part of that, Molly, is an exercise of writing down everything you are, everything you stand for, your identity as a woman, a young lady, separate from your sport. What is your identity separate from your sport? Tell me, what is your identity?
Man, well, I'm a wife, number one. I'm a daughter, sister, friend. I have a ton of hobbies outside of beach volleyball. I love making pottery and ceramics, and I love photography and hiking and camping so much. I feel like I personally love having things outside of volleyball because like having my whole personality in the sport in the past has been really toxic for me. So.
Okay. So you love nature. You love either being in nature or photographing nature. When you reframe how your identity from, I'm a professional volleyball player, because that's what everybody sees. When you and James are walking through an airport and he's 6'8" and you're 5'8", and you got athletic bodies, everybody knows you do something.
Yeah.
They may not be 100% sure, and you're probably carrying a lot back. So, with food and everything else. So when you start appreciating and recognizing that you have value as a woman outside of volleyball, makes volleyball easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's such a good reminder. I mean, whenever I leave a tournament and I do well, it is something I want to talk about. I want to feel for forever. But when I do bad in a tournament, I'm always like, oh, I'm not just a volleyball player, but I have been wanting to be able to connect the two consistently, not just when things are bad or good. And that's very important to me, or something that I want to work on. So this is a really good reminder.
Well, one of the things that James and your honey, talked about was the concept of the focus not being on winning, but the focus on being your best. And your best is going to change every day, every tournament, every competition, every match. You might be dealing with something, maybe stomach flu, lack of sleep, travel, jet lag, just fatigue, weather conditions. But if you can be your best, can you be better than your best?
No.
Can't.
That'd be really difficult.
You can't be better than your best. So if you show up and perform your best, if you don't win, you don't win. You weren't going to win.
Right.
And if there's things that you need to work on to improve your best, then work on them. Maybe you need to work on your timing on your jumps, or, your serves, or your blocks, or whatever it might be. That's different. That's your to-do list for this is the work I need to put in on a weekly basis during the season so that my best can be better.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't worry about the winning. The people that worry about winning don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Because in those big moments, they feel more pressure than the people that are not focused on winning.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Golfers, especially weekend golfers, they perform the best after they've had a couple beers. Why? Because they don't care anymore. They're chilling.
Yeah.
The pressure's off.
Yeah.
And so you can't drink during a volleyball competition, but you could do the same thing by just not focusing on the results.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
How do you handle big moments in a volleyball game, match point, where you're serving or you're being served to because they see you as the weak link, or they're setting against you to spike on you because you're not 6'3"?
Mm-hmm.
How do you show up in those moments?
Man, I think just trying to stay the most calm I can. I frequently am, the target because I'm the shorter one. So I have a lot of experience in having to be at game point. Oh God, it's coming to me right now. And I think, the mindset is just trying to stay as calm as I can and not trying to focus on what the score is. There's a couple times that, in the last few weeks that it's been overtime game and, we need to side out. And I tell myself okay, don't look at the score. The score doesn't matter. Imagine it's 0-0 right now, because if it was 0-0, I'd be so loosey goosey, nothing matters. But since it's 22-22, I'm this is so stressful. One mess up and we're screwed. But so that's kind of I would like that to be a very staple mindset that just comes to me, but it definitely I have to tell myself, or at least try and trick myself into thinking that things aren't as stressful as they actually are.
Okay, so let's go back to being your best again, compared to worrying about the outcome of that point.
Yeah.
So if you focus on the idea that, hey, if I mess up, we lose, you do get stressed, you get tight. And the athletes that perform the best in all moments have freedom of thinking, and then they have flow in their muscles. They got freedom of their flow. They're not tight. In volleyball, you have soft hands. You've got, you've got quick reactions. You get, if you dive, you can jump up quick because you're just free. Where when you're tense, you don't move like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would practice the exercise of constantly performing in the moment or in the point.
Mm-hmm.
And don't look ahead to what that point means.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you look at what that point means, what happens?
Get so stressed out.
You get stressed out. So do you do your own commentary and broadcasting of your own matches? Are you the one that's got the mic? No, that's their job.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's 22-22. That's their job.
Yeah.
Create the drama, set the scene, keep the audience on their edge of their seats. That's not your job.
Yeah. True.
Your job is just chill out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another point. And, I was sharing this with James. It's like, invite it. Invite the serve.
Mm-hmm.
I want this. I'm going to be pissed off if you don't serve it to me.
I love that. No, that's great. I feel like in the moment, like after the game, you saying this right now, I'm like, oh, I want to think that. Like, I want them to serve me. But in the moment, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm like capable of like pulling that out of myself sometimes, because it's just like everything's happening so fast. But I want that to be my mindset for sure. Constantly.
Well, think about how much power you get. So part of pro mindset is reclaiming your power. We as competitors and athletes, you guys give up your power.
Mm-hmm.
You give your power to your partner. You give your power to your competition. You give your power to the audience. You give your power to your coach.
Mm-hmm.
You got to reclaim your power. And you reclaim your power by directing your focus on the task at hand, not the future, not the past. And you also do it by settling into a mental safe space, which I call a performance bubble, where you're controlling the controllables and you're ignoring the uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control the wind. You can't control the elements. You can't control the other person serving if you're returning, but you can control you. So what has been the biggest moment in your volleyball career? College, pro, international, national?
Honestly, I keep talking about the last 3 weeks, but my partner and I got silver the first tournament, bronze the second, and then gold the last tournament. And
you were on fire.
Yeah, it's never been done before, back to back to back, and I didn't even think it was possible. But before the tournament, I told the girl I was playing with, I was like, "Look, I'm not going to these for funsies. Like, I'm going because I want to medal. Like, I want to medal." And she was like, "Yeah, me too." And I didn't know how, like, I mean, everybody wants to medal, but I didn't know, like, if she took that seriously. And then we, like, leave the trip and we have 3 medals. And I was like, I can't even believe this is happening. So that is definitely, like, the best thing I've ever done in the sport thus far.
Was there ever a time in those matches where it could have went the other direction?
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Okay. So was there more pressure in the first tournament?
Yes. Yeah.
Or the last one? After you had 2 medals, did you have pressure?
It did not feel like there was a lot of pressure, no.
No, that's why you got gold.
Yeah.
That's why you got gold, for real. The most pressure was the first one. Once you got 1 medal, your brain's like, well, at least I got 1.
Right.
Right? So then you went into the second one like, I'd like to get 1, but if I don't, it's okay because I got the next one I can get.
Yeah.
And the third one, you had no pressure. Where are you guys ranked in the world, you and your partner?
Haven't looked because the rankings haven't updated, but from what I've been told, we're pretty high now in the United States. So I need to, like, look at logistics, but I'm definitely the highest that I've ever been in the United States. So I'm curious to see, but I don't know for sure.
Give me a range. Top 10, top
3, top 4.
Top 4.
Yeah.
Top 4. Okay. So the next time the season starts again in a month or so, whenever you guys get back into playing again.
Yeah.
Is there more pressure if you're one of the top 4 in the nation?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Part of me, in my mindset, not that I'm satisfied by any means, like, I'm going to work 10 times as hard now because I'm like, I don't want to drop down. Like, this is my standard now. So, of course, I'm not, like, sitting, like, all happy. But I would say, yeah, there's targets on our back, which is, like, kind of a cool place to be because I feel like I'm always chasing after those targets. So I'm kind of like, wow, this feels new in a really cool way.
So instead of being the chaser, you're gonna be the chasee.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
new.
Well, how does that, I mean, I'm asking you to go there.
Yeah.
Bring the future to the present. Okay. Well, let's say it's in February. You've got a tournament you go to. Let's talk about it today. It's kind of, you're getting ready to go on the court in a couple hours. What pressure would you feel if you were the highest rated duo in the tournament? Because you're supposed to win it because you're the highest rated.
Right. I mean, yeah, there would be pressure for sure. It would probably bring along some stiffness on the court while also having some like cockiness. Kind of like a balance of the two. I would hope more cockiness than stiffness, but I mean, it's inevitable.
Okay. So how do you have more confidence and cockiness and less, stiffness and tightness? What is your methodology? What is your practice? What is your tool? If you don't have one, it's okay. But if you got one, what would it be before the match?
Yeah. Gosh. I think it would just be like getting in the mental headspace, whether that be like meditating or getting some quiet time alone, not even with meditation, but just having that space to talk to myself about how I got here and how I am worthy of being in the spot I'm in. And that I need to take a breath and to not be so stiff and like anxious. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have like a set like ritual per se. I mean, sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I don't, which is kind of crazy. I feel like a lot of pro athletes have like their thing that they do. And I think that I just need some like calmness, like whatever that is. I just need to find calmness, or I feel a little anxious walking onto the court.
Do you have a practice of visualizing before you compete?
I think unintentionally, but nothing where I sit down and I'm like, I'm going to rep out 10 high lines in my head.
Have you ever visualized before?
Yes, I have.
And how did that work for you?
I have done visualizing in a couple ways. I'm a very overly realistic person because I've been told no so many times. So I don't see things as like positive as other people see, like that things are sunshine and rainbows. So I always try and prepare for the worst. So I've visualized the worst thing that could happen, the worst things that could happen over and over and over so that they get minimized so they're not as huge. And then I've also visualized if everything went right and everything good and, bouncing back from being down and like doing the impossible. So I've done both of those.
No, that's awesome. That's what I would recommend that you do.
Yeah.
Is that you intentionally visualize with you being the star of every point. And you guys, do you guys go to 25?
21.
21? You went 21-0. 21-0. Never happens.
Never.
Ever. But you did it in your mind. And the reason why you want to do that in your mind is because it sets the standard for there's no limit on what your run can be. You've won 5 in a row, 5 points in a row. Yeah. Then your mind's like, well, we can't do 6. Well, you visualize doing, 21.
Yeah.
Well, 6 is not too many.
Right.
And then you do it the other way where you're down 20-0 and you come all the way back. And then it doesn't matter if the game starts out 6-0 for them, 10-0 them, 2-0 them. You're not stressed because in your mind, you've come back from 20-0 and you had 22 minimum match points to win 23-21.
Be crazy. But yeah, that is a cool way to look at it.
Yeah. So you hit both extremes so that doesn't matter what happens, you've been there mentally.
Yeah. Right.
The other thing I would say is that you do it already with your temper tantrum, pity party type of thing. You do a reset. I think it's really beneficial for athletes to reset between points.
Yeah.
For volleyball players, you just have to reset, whether it's taking a deep breath. Some people hit themselves in the face or their thigh, they do something. Have some type of intentional reset between every point so you can flesh out what just happened and set boundaries on what could happen in the future so that you just focus on this point, this serve, this.
Definitely.
So what is your greatest asset as a volleyball girl? Is it what component of the game? Are you that person that can serve aces? Are you the person that has diving saves? Are you the one that has an uncanny ability to, I think you're setting for your partner and you just find the open spot? What's your jam?
I think I can outsmart the other team because beach volleyball is a chess match. And I would say that my best asset is that I'm always thinking about how I can outsmart the other team.
Give an example, Molly.
Without being, I can be very specific, but I'll be a little bit unspecific right now. But I feel like I can always find a point when I need to, whether that be going over on one, on two, doubling up on a play, serving the ball in a spot where that person might not like it, like at the perfect time. That to me is something I feel like I am just constantly aware of, like the little things. Because I am great at a lot of things on the court, technique wise, but I'm not the biggest hitter. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the person that's going to serve an ace every single time, but I know that I know this game better than most. So I know what I can, like the strings I can pull at certain times.
Is that something you rehearse in your mind beforehand? Or is that just a real-time exercise that you're doing while you're playing the game? You're brainstorming on how can I?
I think real time for sure. Most of the time it's real time. When we watch film on the other team, you can find like little pockets of holes, or like you can see someone is lagging at a certain time of the game. You can see like, oh, this person always gets aced at the end of the game. Like always. Because they're not there or it's getting stressful. When I watch film, I always like look for those little tiny things that I'm like, okay, if I need a point, I can bank that. Like that will be one little point at whatever given time.
So do you have a checklist in your mind that you go to? It's almost like a strategy that you go to so that depending on what's going on in the game and what circumstances are, what the score is, you go find it and it's in your mind.
For sure. I feel like there is like somewhat of a small checklist that I'm like, okay, I haven't done this yet. Maybe now's the time to do it. Yeah.
What is the relationship that beach volleyball players have with their coaches? Because you guys kind of hire your own coaches, which is very unusual.
That is really weird. The relationship, it is different for everyone. There's not one situation that's the same, but we definitely, we wear the pants, which is weird. I wish that wasn't the case. You definitely have tryouts, and by that I mean you try out different coaches and different training sessions, and some coaches travel with you everywhere, some coaches don't. Sometimes they're sending you film, sometimes they're sending you game plans, sometimes they're not. So it can be as involved as you want it to be or as uninvolved as you want it to be. So that was a very unspecific way of answering your question.
Okay, so no, I get it. And what I would do is during this time of reflection between seasons, and you're going through and analyzing everything that happened in the last season, and you're looking at all the different modifications, adjustments, changes, adds you want to do for the next season, you look at what role you want your coach to play. How can they serve you the best? What advanced scouting can they do? What constructive criticism can they give? In match time, in preparation for a match, and then in debriefing post-match? Because if I'm a coach and I don't know what you want, I'm going to kind of guess, and I'm going to experiment with, well, this is what I kind of used to do, and you seem to like this, so I do more of this. No, I'm going to have a job description for my coach. I expect A, B, and C, and don't worry about, X, Y, and Z.
No, that is so timely, because I definitely am in a spot where I'm unsure of the next steps I'm taking with what coach. So it's funny that you say that, because it is so needed to know exactly what you want in this situation, because we are able to decide who we work with. And if you're broad about it, they're like, okay, we don't really know what you want. So that's a really good point.
Okay. What's it like being married to, I'll hold some of this off because we're going to do another podcast with your honey, but what's it like? Well, I'm going to cut this part out because I want to wait for the next one. Because it's like, I want him to be there because I want his opinion too.
Yeah.
Okay,
I get
so 43:15 or so. I'm going to edit this out. Okay. So I'm going to bring this to a close and then we could take a 15-20 minute break. Perfect. And start up at whatever time we decided, 45 your time. Okay. So Molly, what is the thing that you would say that which would like really surprise even people that know volleyball about international beach volleyball? The whole experience, the compensation, the competition, the travel, all that stuff. What would be something like everybody sees what they see on TV, but how can you like give them a sneak peek of behind the scenes? Because there may be a girl listening to this who's playing high school volleyball. It's like, man, I want to do what she does.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, hey, here's something you need to know because this is something nobody told me.
There's a laundry list of things I could say. But I think the biggest thing is it's probably one of the biggest grinds that you will ever do, because you are not eating the food you like. You're not in your bed. You're not around the people that you're used to. You don't, the time zone's different. You have to do laundry sometimes in your own hotel room, in the bathtub, depending if you don't know where there is a laundromat. Like, things are really ugly when you're traveling overseas and doing what we just did. And aside from that, it's like the most amazing feeling ever to be around different countries and different cultures. I think that's the most rewarding part of it. You get to meet all of these different people that barely speak any English, but you can connect with them somehow. But I think, the whole concept is just kind of ugly. So, and I think everyone can agree with me on that.
So you don't have private jets.
No.
And you don't have like food delivered to your room. That's whatever you want. You're almost describing like backpacking around Europe, during the summer while somebody's in college, they might, or right after college, they may be taking a gap year to go. You said earlier you like camping. Beach volleyball traveling is like camping.
It does feel like that. It does a lot.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to add that I didn't ask? Anything pop in your mind?
Nothing popping up in my mind at the moment.
Okay. Well, you've been wonderful. I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset today. And anybody that wants to check you out, follow your career, where can they find you?
On Instagram, I think it's at Molly Evelyn Shaw.
So you're Molly Evelyn Turner Shaw.
Technically, it's just Shaw, but nobody calls me Shaw yet. So I just tell everyone Turner Shaw. But so James is mad at that, so don't tell him I said that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on, and I want to thank everybody today for listening.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Craig Domann, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.